While you're watching this video, please remember to like, subscribe to my channel, click the bell icon for notification of future videos, and share this video also. Thank you. Hello there guys, welcome back to my channel. Let me get this into the center. Yes, so the title of this video, as you can see, Sex Talk 101 number 3, right? And this is, I wouldn't say it's the finale. I was going to name it grand finale, but then I think to myself, the fact that I'm dealing with a sensitive issue, I am not sure. If it so happens that I get a challenge or opposition in terms of person raised arguments and so forth, it may actually arise where I'll have to do part 4 or something, right? But for now, this is the last of it for me. Sex Talk 101 number 3, right? At the time when I would have been recording this video, even though I had tried it first, record it first, and had to delete the video altogether and do it over. Yes, that is why I encourage you to watch my video titled The Struggles of Being a YouTuber. Right? You guys don't know, sometimes I have video recorded and I have to just delete it. Based on listening to the video and the specs and everything, I have to delete it and start all over again. Right? This is the struggles of YouTube. But nevertheless, with that being said, today is Thursday at the recording of this video. Thursday, May 6. Right, so what we are going to talk about is sexual fetish and fantasies and so forth, right? How do Christians actually, or how should Christians approach sexual fetishes, fantasies, and so on? So you would have seen the thumbnail, right? And I have a picture of a woman. Her name is Ellen G. White. And you see the picture of a man as well. That is separate from me. There are two males, myself and the thumbnail, and another man. I have been doing some series of videos on sex, right? You can find it in my playlist section titled Sex in Marriage. The very first video that I did was on Ellen G. White, the self-proclaimed prophetess of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, right? She have a number of views on sex, and I did a video pertaining to those views. I'm not going to go over what the views is. You can check out the video for yourself. I'll post a link in the comment section also, so you can see that video. Ellen's teachings will actually rip marriages apart. Now, moving from Ellen G. White to the man that I spoke of that is on the thumbnail, I did some videos on him as well. One, where we spoke about oral sex, bottom wash, and ties, right? And sexual positions too, such as doggy style, saying that Christians shouldn't do oral sex, do what the bottom wash, that is, we call rimming, we call it bottom wash in JA, or use sex ties in their relationship, and use and perform doggy style and various other sexual positions, like even cowgirl and so forth, because he says that you're not a dog and you're not a cow, right? Very silly argument, and to compare animals and human beings and how their sex is actually a false equivalency. Why? Because animals have only one position that they often do. They don't have the intelligence to explore with any other positions, right? And when they have sex, it is not for recreation, it's actually for procreation, right? To produce and so forth. It's not like us where we do it for both, to produce, right? And for actual enjoyment and so forth. So that is a very terrible false equivalency by him there, right? To use animal and so forth. The links are down there in the comment section. You'll see it. You can check it out for yourself, right? And I did a video after that, so I responded to his arguments briefly, and then I did a video after that talking about Jamaicans' culture and sex and so forth, right? Telling you how it's because of the bias, the cultural bias is the reason that prompted him to say the silly things that he did. Right? And the video after, I did a comparison of Jamaican cultures and other cultures where sex is concerned, showing you why it is imperative to understand cultures, right? When you're approaching the scriptures, and not just understand culture, you need to know the culture of the Bible, because you cannot put your culture and enforce it on the Bible. No. Right? You have to interpret the Bible in light of its culture and not your culture. And make the distinction and see if what the scriptures is saying, how much it applies to you irrespective of your culture. Right? And in so doing, I also show that one, it is very unsafe for you to put your bias when you're studying the Bible. You have to take away all bias that you have into your mind, because what is going to happen? You're going to do what the man did and use Ezekiel 23 to say a number of things, because that's what he did, He used Ezekiel chapter 23 and he muddied Ezekiel chapter 23, right? In a desperate attempt to prove what he's saying. And the video that I did after and look on Ezekiel 23, right? You saw that Ezekiel 23 was not saying what he's saying at all. Right, guys? After I prove from scripture that where the Bible is concerned, all things are right in the marital bed. Right? The video that follow after, right, I talk about the book of Songs of Solomon, why you shouldn't use it to either prove points for certain sexual practices or prove points against certain sexual practices. Because many people use the Songs of Solomon, to speak in favor of certain sexual things, and some use it to speak against it. And I did it to show the problems that will occur if you resort to using that book, and that you don't need to go to that book to prove anything. You can just examine other scriptures like what I did, right, in the video before that, and you'll see that all things are right in the marital bed. Now, in the video that followed after, I showed why. I gave practical reasons as to why women should satisfy their husbands sexually. Why they should satisfy their man sexually. Because sex, it is one of the things. It is not what makes a relationship, but it is what actually keeps a relationship together. And trust me, the lack of sexual fulfillment will rip any relationship apart. And I give reasons as to why several things can actually happen to you in life. And you may have to resort to other things to satisfy your partner. The same thing that I did when I was talking about men. Why men should please their woman sexually. Anything can happen to you in life. You can become crippled. Right? As a man, you can become crippled and you can lose a hand. You can lose feet. And any part of your body you lose, it can affect your sexual performance as a man. And if you're in a position like that, would you rather your wife just leave you because you can't give her the type of sex that you used to give her before? Will you prefer her leave you, or will you try to do what you're able to do and resort to other means to give her some form of satisfaction? And what are those other means that you could try? One of it is oral sex. Whether you like it or not, one of it is oral sex. You understand that you may want to use some form of sex ties and so forth to spice up the relationship. If you're in a position like that, you may end up having to do that. And likewise, I said that if a woman is crippled and so forth, right, it's not necessarily that she has to resort to other means, because a man's body and a woman's body is different. It is far easier to please the man sexually than to please a woman sexually, right? But the problem with men is that we can just insert and we ejaculate, we come. You understand? But the thing is that we may want more. We are going to want to explore other positions and so forth, because that is what we men are about. And if you are not able to do that, one of the things that you could try to actually give for what you can't give back for what you can't give is actually oral sex. You understand what I'm saying? And I give other arguments as to why one shouldn't be stuck up, but you must be open-minded, right? Especially where sex is concerned. Sex is not a walk in the park. Believe you me, it's not a walk in the park. No, I'm not going to say over all the things that I said in those videos. Sex Talk 101, number 1 and number 2, you can check it out yourself. Now I want to look at the fetishes and fantasies and so forth. Unless you are a virgin, you've had any experience at all with sex, you are likely to have a sexual fetish or sexual fetishes, right? And it can range to a number of things. Let me tell you about some sexual fetish that some women have. Some women actually like when men suck their toes. Some like when a man gently squeeze their neck while you know they're penetrating them. Some women may like when you hold their hair, it turns them on. Some women may like you spank their buttocks. The amount of things there is that people like as a fetish and so forth. I won't say all of it for the purpose of YouTube video. I mean, it may be too gruesome or too grimy, and this is a Christian channel after all. But whatever you're thinking in your head, it's likely that I'm aware of what you're talking about. I wasn't always a Christian, right? So I know what I'm talking about. But I say this to say that if you have a partner and they have a sexual fetish, don't be like, oh, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus and so forth, and you get all boomy and so forth because what they said here, it sounds so off, you know, as though they're saying something that is unorthodox to you then, so to speak. No. You can either try to look into it and say, hey, let me give it some thought and so forth, and then you come back to it. But don't just brush off your partner or shame your partner because they propose something sexual to you that they would like to try. Everyone has the as sexual fetish. You can say if it is that you don't think you can do that, then you just simply tell your partner that you don't think you can do that. But it's not wise for you to just brush it off and shame them like that, because what will happen, your partner is going to feel like they can't talk to you, they can't open up to you about anything. And you don't want to do that, because these things can actually cause barriers in relationship. And if your partner don't feel like they can come to you with anything, this is the start of a failed relationship where you might just go to somebody else because they are so fearful to come to you with certain things, and you don't want that. These things break down relationship. Right? So, again, let me repeat, sexual satisfaction is important. All of us have sexual fetishes, right? Especially if you were never a virgin when you get married. And even if you're a virgin and you were exposed any at all where sex is concerned, you're likely to have a sexual fetish. And now that you know that all things are right, what you want to check, is if you're comfortable with fulfilling that sexual fetish. Because at the end of the day, I'm sure the fetish that your partner may have, you may not necessarily be comfortable with it. You understand? You might not necessarily, but try to compromise as much as possible because your partner will be happy. So try to compromise as much as possible. I can give you my personal experience back in the days. I've met women where I learned their sexual fetish and I'm like, okay then, what I want to know if this is a deal breaker, because I don't think I can do that at all. You understand what I'm saying? And likewise, I could have a fetish and she may say to herself, no, I don't think I can manage that one at all. You understand what I'm saying? But if I'm talking to a female and she lets me know what her fetish are, I'm not going to shame her. I'm not going to do anything like that. The most I can say, alright, let me look into it. If it's something that I think I'm comfortable with and I can actually fulfill that, then no problem. If I can't, then I'll say, is it a deal breaker? If it's a deal breaker, then I guess we just have to split up. If it's something I can't compromise on. But I'm so mature and elevated and advanced in understanding where spiritual things is concerned, not praising myself about some person's mind. Their mind are still shallow when it comes to things pertaining to sex. So I'm not going to shame any woman. It's either yes or no. And this is what I'm actually telling you guys. Where sex is concerned, I did everything that I did just for this purpose, for Christians to not be so stuck up, but to be open-minded where sex is concerned. You're going to lose, You're going to lose if you continue to have a stuck-up type of mentality where sex is concerned. Right? Now let me just point out some disclaimer. Now that you know that all things are right where the marital bed is concerned, now you need to find out if all things are safe. While all things may be right, not everything that pertains to sex is actually safe. It can cause damaging effects. And you don't need God to stipulate a law to tell you to don't do this. It's actually wisdom. Wisdom will tell you that. Right? For instance, the guy that I have on the thumbnail, he was talking about doggy style and so forth. and saying how it can cause health issues. And there was a doctor who came out and responded in the Star and refuted what he's saying and said there is no such thing. That's rubbish. Perhaps he can't handle it. Right? And it's true. If you look at my body structure, I'm slim. I have little strength, but I am not as strong as some men would be. So what this means that there are some sexual positions that may not be wise for me unless it is that the person that I'm talking to weighs less, right? In that they are slim and I can actually manage them. There are certain sexual positions that may require you to lift up the woman and so forth. I'm not going to do that if I'm dealing with a woman that is bigger than me in body. It's going to cause damaging effects. Now, does it mean that that position is a sin? No, it just simply means that I can't manage that one. So perhaps the pastor can't manage doggy style. Maybe he's getting up in age and he just can't manage it. His legs are weak or something. If that's the case, you simply resort to a different position. Because once you're getting up in age, it's likely that there are certain sexual positions that you may not be able to manage. Right? And this is why it is not wise for you to say positions are wrong, because situation can arise where certain positions can't work for you due to health reasons and you have to resort to other sexual positions for fulfillment. So persons who teach that certain sexual things are wrong in marriage are fools. You understand? And they are doing a great evil and they are going to cause relationships to tear apart. And only fools will actually sit down and listen to such things. If you have any experience with sex, you'll know that such notions are complete nonsense. Now let us just talk about sex toys and so forth. Is sex toys wrong in marriage? No. And here's the reason why it's not wrong. Let me give you a few arguments. When COVID actually occurred in 2019, 2020, 2020, yes. 2019, the latter part of 2019 to 2020, right? And it so happened that persons were traveling and they left their partners in different country. And country end up locked down and they don't get to see their partner for months. For months, you're not getting sex for months. What will you do if you're in a situation like that? Are you going to go and cheat on your partner? Or what about getting a sex toy and using for the time being until your partner actually comes? Would you prefer your partner to do that? Get themselves a sex toy or go and cheat on you? You see what I'm saying? Now, if you use a sex toy, if you use a sex toy when you're single, you could say that it's a sin for single persons to do that. Because what will happen while you're using the toy and so forth, you may start fantasizing and you may start lusting and so forth after. You're probably a guy that you see or a female that you see that you like, and you start lusting about getting the real thing and it causes you to actually sin. But once you're married, right, you use a sex toy and what have you, you're thinking about your spouse, imagining that, say for instance a woman you're using a dildo, imagining that it was your husband that was there. There's no sin in that because you're thinking about your husband. That is just common sense, You're thinking about your husband, so it can't be a sin because you can't lust after your husband, As a matter of fact, you should lust after your husband, I should say. Correction. You should lust after your husband. You have a biblical right to lust after your husband. It's lusting after another person that you're not married to. It's a sin. So the usage of sex toys in marriage can never be a sin. And even if it's a case where your partner is not away and you simply just bring in toys to spice it up, there is no way, shape or form it can be a sin. If you watch my videos where I talk about the toys and so forth, it will give you other arguments as to why, possible arguments that will be raised why sex toys is a sin. Those would have been answered in the video, so I'm not going to answer it here. Right? So the usage of sex toys, it's not a sin. If you want to get chained and give it some 50 shades of grey kind of thing where you chain up a person and you're comfortable with that, then no problem. Do whatever thing that you want to do. If you want to get costumes, you want to get candles, if you want to get whipped cream, if you want to do anything whatsoever, if you want to be a complete what people would call freak or what have you, no problem at all in doing it. You're not doing it to somebody that is other than your husband or your wife. It's not like you're doing it to some guy on the road, you know, or some woman on the road, you know. You're definitely not doing it to a prostitute. Right? Somebody who has their body all over the place. That would be low. Right? But you're doing it to somebody who you're committed to into a covenant. There's no need to feel ashamed about it. Right? Now, let's talk about rimming. That one in particular, I would say, is dangerous. Right? Based on the little research that I do, I could be wrong, but I know that rimming can actually cause gut infection. So if it's a case where you're into those kind of things, don't watch the follow Blue movie and so forth, you know, pornographic content, because there are a lot of things that these individuals who act them go through and you don't really know. Trust me, right? So don't expect that you're going to do some porn star type of thing because you see them do it. It's not as simple. You can get gut infection. But if it is that it is your thing and you enjoy doing that, it's not a sin to do so. You might want to get some what they call it, dental dam, or use a condom and make a dental dam out of it, yeah, to protect yourself, because the anus is just not clean for you to actually put your tongue there. And likewise, anal sex and so forth, do your research and find out what's the healthiest way you can actually do that if it is that you're into that, right, without having any repercussions and so forth. Right? But don't just casually rush into that, because it can cause some negative aftermaths, whether immediately or in the future. Skipping to that now, the final thing we want to talk about is basically oral sex. Now, oral sex, as far as research is concerned, there is no form of health issue that is directly attached to oral sex. So that means it can't harm you none at all. You understand? It can't harm you none at all. It's up to you now if you can actually feel comfortable and bring yourself to actually doing that. And let me give you a little pointer that I learned to as well. Where the female genital area is concerned, it's a known fact by research that this is the cleanest part of a woman's body and it's self-clean and so forth. So you will never find that somebody actually get any health issue because they actually do that. Right? So as I said, it's just up to you if you're interested in that or not. Right? Now, here are some possible arguments that would be raised against using your tongue to either do oral sex or rimming or what have you. Apart from health issue that would be raised, and I tackled that already where the rimming is concerned. Persons will probably say that your tongue or your mouth wasn't used for that purpose. If you ask them what was it used for, they'll probably say used to praise God, used to talk, and what else, and used to eat and so forth, but it was not used for, it was not made for that purpose. No, that's a basically inconsistent argument, because in truth and in fact, persons use their mouth for sex. They use it to kiss, unless you're a bad lover as a man, you know. Certainly you're going to kiss up your woman and so forth. Maybe you suck her neck, maybe you go on her breasts, and what have you, and various parts of her body to turn her on and so forth. If you don't do those things, you're a novice and you shouldn't actually be in a relationship. Right? So in truth and in fact, you actually do use your mouth for in doing sexual intimacy. So it's better for you to raise an argument and say that it's not meant to go there, but it was meant to do other things. And if you raise that argument, that wouldn't work either, because then you wouldn't have any biblical evidence to say that the mouth was used to go on any other part of the woman or the man's body except the genital area. Right? Or even, God forbid, the anus. You can't find any argument to support that. It would be a weak and inconsistent argument. And again, if we resort to Songs of Solomon, I'm not going to tell you to repeat again that Songs of Solomon can't be used to prove nothing. The video is there, so you can check it out. Right? So, with that being said, there is simply no argument that you can use to basically condemn persons from doing oral sex or anything else. Now, where oral sex is concerned, let me answer this for Christians. If you want to ask a Christian and say, why do people do those things? And you don't see why people do that and oh, it's nasty, what have you, and so forth. The reason why people do it is because it is enjoyable, right? It actually have a lot of pleasure that is attached to it. And by simply common sense, you can know that. As a woman, speaking to a woman, yes, ask any woman this. If you use your hands and you fondle a woman's breasts, her nipples and so forth, yes, it may give a good feeling, but if you replace that with your tongue, the feeling is far greater, several times over, right? So if you ask a woman, they can tell you that. And it's only natural because the tongue, as you know, it is softer than the hands, right? And a woman's body, more respond to softness and touch and so forth than it respond to what is rough, because their bodies are made up different, right? And when you penetrate certain sensitive areas of a woman, right, and based on the touch and so forth, that is what will give her the stimulation. So the tongue is able to do, it is able to give a certain type of stimulation that the hands can't do, because of its softness, the texture, and the fact that the whole saliva and everything, and it gives a feeling that the hands can't, right? And it's just common sense. And if you are, and it's the same for a guy too. If you use your hands and whatever with a man, and you fondle his sex area and so forth, if you replace that with your tongue or your mouth or what have you, it's the sensation is going to be greater naturally, because the tongue can do something far better than the hands can. And this is why people enjoy oral sex. It is just simply putting on. No, you're not used to hearing a Christian come on a channel and say these things, but if you never hear these things before, right, now you know that this is the reason why people enjoy oral sex and why people actually engage in it, right? Now, I can say so much more, but I'm going to leave it at that, right? So we're the dealing with the nasty side of it now, right? I only have one thing to say. What's nasty, right, is if you go around as a man and your head is underneath every single woman, including prostitutes, God forbid. That's nasty. What's nasty for the woman is if you just go around and just give head to just about every guy that you meet. That's nasty. But if it's one partner in a lifetime covenant, right? Remember, you're stuck with one person for the rest of your life, And sex is a thing like this, you can get easily bored when it's just the one same person. So if you don't put the effort to spice up your relationship, the passion will be lost in no time. So you're doing it to the partner that you're with, that you're in a covenant with. How can it be nasty? Secondly, here's another point that I'm basically going to make, right? What would be nasty is if your partner has been on the road for the entire day, right? And they come home, they don't take a bath or what have you, and they just put your head down there. It's the same as if you're having sex, and you don't bathe, you're on the road all day and you have sex before you take a bath, That's nasty. Because take oral sex out of the picture now. You're kissing up your woman, you're sucking on her neck or what have you. What you're going to taste is a lot of salt, sweat and everything, because the person is dirty. So that would be nasty. So if here so on her other body would have a certain type of taste because she's on the road whole day. You can well imagine that the same might apply for a person's sex organ. It would be nasty for you to just say you're just going to just go there and the person has been on the road for the entire day, right? Come on, I myself wouldn't even for me, if something like that, even if someone is going to do something like that to me, I can't see myself just like, here, have it, and I don't shower or anything. No, sir, no, that's nasty. If you understand what I'm saying, that would be nasty. So that's all I have to say where that is concerned. I'm really wondering, but I think I just might have another part coming out, but I'm not sure yet. But with that being said, I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, you know what to do. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Bye bye now.